What's up, everybody?
Here you
Welcome back to the Duel Screens Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen Fontana, and with me, as always, he's Andy Asimakis. How you doing, buddy?
This is a special day.
It is a special day for all.
It is an excuse to be just gross.
Oh. Do we ever really need an excuse to do
No,
that,
but I
Andy?
feel like it's justified. We can ask the dumbest, silliest, most mental questions, and I think this show needs it.
Really needs.
Yeah, it demands it.
Well, ladies and gentle germs, why are you here? You are here because joining us this week is Xanver Arnot, art director on the Toxic Crusaders, a brand new retro beat 'em up starring the grossest heroes. One of the all of the grossest heroes, actually, you should say, from
the grossest, yeah.
the 1990s. Welcome, Xander. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on here. It's like I've been wearing the same shirt since PAX. I haven't taken it off.
Yeah.
I've just been wearing it.
We're actually recording this at PAX, so it's
right.
All,
we just stepped
Step
aside.
aside in a nice quiet booth. That's all.
Yeah.
No problem.
We can't
Did you
smell
guys have
all the way over here, so
yeah, just
it's wafting.
They told me to bring 3 sticks in case. Yeah.
For those of you that are new here to the Duel Screens Podcast, this is the internet's #1 indie developer interview podcast, probably. Everyone in the gaming industry, be it a programmer, an artist, they are, like in your case, an artist, producer. Everyone has a story to tell, and we want to be the platform for them to tell those stories. The show posts each and every week on your podcast service of choice, including our home Podbean. And of course, you can watch the video version on youtube.com/duelscreens.tv. Andy, we're going to dive in, and I've been explicitly told by you that we have a ceremonial lead-off question of the show.
It's long overdue since
it is long overdue.
But this is more of a comment. It's a comment. It's feedback. For our friend Xander here.
Okay.
It's like a jump. It's like a jump off point.
Get ready. So I've attended a lot of PAXs.
You have
a lot of PAXs in my day.
That's true.
Okay. A handful of E3s, some Tokyo game shows, and I gotta say that this little guy. So for those on the audio side, I'm holding a little canister of toxic waste branded Toxic Crusaders. This is like the best swag I've ever received at a convention, because like this kept me going. Like I ate like 5 of these things during the show.
Just like
it's so good.
Wait, no, don't do that.
It's so good.
I was gonna say it's a few shades darker than I remember it being. Have you been playing with your food?
Oh no, Andy! Andy, you're not supposed to eat the slime, Andy.
Oh,
no!
You gotta call somebody.
It is not edible. Oh my god! I'll tell you this: if it is edible, my kids are in trouble.
Oh man!
Well, how much longer do we have to record this before you just don't? Before we have to stop.
Got some good shit.
It's called Toxic Crusaders.
For those who are listening, no, I didn't just ingest or watching.
Slime.
That was lime green Jello.
Wow, he got us.
Yeah.
Can I tell you what was going through my head just now?
Tell me.
I was thinking, wait, was that food? Like, were we allowed to eat that? That's cool. I threw it out.
Can I tell you, I thought it was like you showed it, and I'm like, that's darker than I remember the slime being. Has the slime had that much fun since PAX? And I didn't know like what happened to
What's Andy doing with his slime?
It's been like it's kind of dark. Like, what's going on?
What isn't Andy doing with his slime?
But I do want to share a fun story before we get into the game. Some history of mine with Troma and Toxie as a whole. I think you'd enjoy this, Xander. Some years back, I used to work at the YouTube space in Chelsea Market, New York, and we would spotlight different creators to come visit the space and give talks. And at the time, Lloyd Kaufman, he was getting into the YouTube thing. It was all very new to him. He didn't understand it much, but he knew there was money to be made on the platform. So he took all his films, threw them on YouTube, and he wanted to come for a talk one day. And our lobby on the 5th floor, it had these massive screen walls set like basically sandwiching the entire lobby. So when you walk, it was like screens on either side of you. And he had sent us a reel to put on those screens that would air throughout the day, like building up to his panel later that evening.
That's cool.
And one of the snippets in the reel was the scene from Romeo and Juliet with the dick monster coming out of the dude's pants.
Very proud of that one, actually.
Right.
Very happy with that, yeah.
It was like a quick flash, and it was an open public space, and people would come visit that day, and they would see the giant dick monster. Like, this is insane. This is like pornographic. Why is it on the screen? Can we speak to a manager? Like, you know, and back then there was no like cancel culture or shit like that. So the director of the YouTube space walked out and was like, if you don't like it, you can get the fuck out of here.
Wow. He's like, this is what YouTube's all about, baby. Famous last words.
And then when Lloyd came later that evening, he like stopped and looked and was like, I sent this and you didn't censor it. Like, I know I'm in the right place.
He's definitely got that like self-awareness to how people could take it. Yeah. But I'm glad they ran with it. Honestly,
what are dick monsters among friends, right?
Right. Steve, you gotta watch that, by the way. Make some time.
Dick monsters.
Find some. You and the wife sit down for a nice evening. Get some popcorn.
Interesting.
Under a blanket. Put the kids away for the evening. And enjoy some nice schlock.
Put the kids away for the evening.
Yes, tuck them away.
I don't think you understand how that works, but okay.
Get the NyQuil, whatever it takes.
They are humans. They have free will.
But Xander, thanks for coming on the show, dude. And
absolutely
being awesome and making an amazing 2D beat 'em up that looks fucking amazing. Tell us all about it, man.
So we're still working on little bits. You know, it was really awesome playing with everybody at PAX. You know, there were so many people that came by the booth. People were just having a blast. I think some of my favorite parts of PAX were watching all the kids line up and playing it, and they'd never even heard of Toxie or the Toxic Crusaders, and like seeing that they were having such a blast with what we were working on was really cool. That was awesome.
Yeah, man, it's because I'm a huge Toxie fan. Like, my brother and I watch all the Troma stuff. And seeing this franchise come back is like, and in this form, it just made the most sense. So kind of walk us through how Troma and Retroware kind of came to this. Like, this has to happen now for Toxie and the gang.
So I'm going to tell you everything I know, which is the fact that, you know, I worked at Screenwave. I work at Screenwave, and which is also Retroware. We have, you know, a games division as well. And we, you know, Angry Video Game Nerd worked a lot with Screenwave. And there, as many people know, there is an Angry Video Game Nerd, you know, Toxic Crusaders episode. Very infamous. So that's actually that was my introduction to Lloyd Kaufman and everything that they were doing as well. Just when I heard that we were doing this kind of thing, I went back and watched it. I'm like, this is insane. This is crazy. I'm born 97, so I came out the same year the movie for the TV show came out. So I didn't have nostalgia for it growing up. I didn't really I was not around. So, or it was kind of around the same time, but I wasn't coherent for it. I was watching like Veggies or something. Different green. But you know, so I guess they started amending that relationship, started building it at that point. And we've kind of always been going to conventions and hanging out with Lloyd, and I think the conversation just kind of developed to a point where we were ready to partner up and do something with the Toxic Crusaders brand, and they were all for it, you know. We've been making video games for a few years now. Like I mentioned earlier before we started the call, Eagle Island. We're working on a couple other titles that we're getting ready to launch as well. Prison City, Iron Meat. Those are both games that we're really excited about too. So this is just a really awesome opportunity to revitalize something that so many people like yourself are really interested in. How was your reaction when you saw that we were doing this kind of thing as someone that's been a fan for so long?
Oh, I lost my shit completely. Because you know, I never would have expected in a million years that we would have what looked like an amazing Toxic Crusaders game. Because we've had bits here and there, and they were kind of garbage. That's there it is. Yes. It's you know, it's pretty decent sprite work, but shitty game nonetheless. Right. But I don't know why it made so much sense to have this as a 2D beat 'em up side scroll. Like the format, the delivery of the game, it made so much sense. And I was texting all my friends like, dude, it's real. This is not an April Fool's joke. Right. This is legitimate.
It's happening. It's happening.
And in the aftermath of Streets of Rage 4 and Ninja Turtles coming back in the same vein, this is such a treat. And you guys are really holding it down. Like Retroware is like the name says it all. 100%.
Right. We're bringing this back, and no one. It's so funny. Like people have nostalgia for one of the many things associated with the Toxic Crusaders, whether it's like the show, obviously, the movie associated, the Troma film, the comics, the toys. There's so many avenues. The video games, people discovered this through so many different ways, and the fact that like everyone's like, one single, oh my god, I remember that at once, was really crazy to see. But the fact that I think it's coming back in the form of a video game, and we're combining a lot of these elements, the story elements, the comic book elements in our cutscenes, and then the video game roots, everything's kind of coming together in like the way that it really deserves to be remembered, and shown.
So it's one of those IP that like I have I instantly recognized it, but can't remember if I was like into it. Like I'm just like, wait, yeah, Toxic Crusaders. Yeah, wait, no, that was like a cartoon. I had toys of this, but I had toys of a lot of things that I didn't like follow. But it feels like a Ninja Turtles thing. It feels like that time of my life. Can't quite pinpoint it. And then of course you pick the genre that was like an instrumental part of that part of my childhood, which is the beat 'em up with your your brother, your cousins, or whatever, your siblings. Talk a little bit about landing on that as the genre of choice. Was it always just going to be the thing, or did you have a big whiteboard of ideas like, oh, we could make this an RPG or 3D or whatever, like what
Toxic roguelike cooking sim?
Yeah,
right. So I came into the project like kind of a little bit past the point that they decided they wanted to go down the route of beat 'em up. I know that they had played around with some other ideas of what kind of genre they could play with, whether it be like a platformer probably, or something within, like, they didn't know they wanted to lock it down to this exactly. But I think that it became very clear, especially when I got on board, that they knew exactly what it was going to be. It was going to be a beat 'em up, like you said. We wanted to have all the Crusaders there. We knew we wanted to bring Yvonne in as a player character really early on. And that was kind of like our mission statement, was to bring this back and give it like a season 2 it never had, because it only had the original 13 episodes and the comics and stuff. But we wanted people to like go, oh, I remember this. Let me go back and watch the show, and then let me play this, and then just feel like it's never stopped. We treat the game like it's never ended, like it's just never. They think they maybe woke up from a dream and there was, a dozen or so years that passed, but, oh, that was just last week. What are you talking about? That kind of thing. And so it was really cool to come into it at that point. But, I'm the art director, so I focus on what they want from the mechanics and the style of the gameplay. But I'm sitting here thinking, like, how can I make this cartoon feel like this game feel like the cartoon? That's where I'm sitting right now, and it's really awesome. We're working with so many talented pixel artists and concept artists from all over the world, and I'm so lucky to get to like sit down with them and be like, hey, and they're all fans of it too. That's the thing, and we all get to sit down and be like, remember that's hilarious, we got to put that in here, that kind of thing too. So it's fun.
What's the process like for you as the art director? Like, what are there like rules to follow as far as making this feel like the Toxic Crusaders? Like, what is your kind of bullet point approach to when you're designing for the game?
Yeah, you got to get that slime green right, and you got to get that toxic green right. That's it. You got to have the toxic green right. And then it's also like this debate about, do you go off the orange and yellow that they put on the toy packaging, or do you use the one that they used on the lunchbox? I mean, we've got like a bunch of like merchandise, and we're like, how can we pull the love that people have for this and just put it all in the game? So that's a big part of the job right now, is finding how to kind of like take the best parts of the franchise that people are familiar with and kind of inject that love and that passion into what we're doing here as well. And so a lot of the times it looks like, here guys, there's this thing that I'm looking at, and I think we can take this part out of it. I think it would work really well if we rework it like this, and we test the animation sometimes to see if we can make it work. I'm
going to throw this out there right now because I got a flash of what I think is genius while you were talking. it's an old school beat 'em up. You guys need like some sort of contra code up, down, left, right shit in your thing. And it unlocks, instead of like a level selector or limited lives, you unlock Toxie as Melvin pre-transformation.
Oh man,
in a
that'd be
tutu,
so cool.
But he's like super OP.
Right,
it's like a one-hit kill.
It's like a Shaggy kind of thing. Yeah,
exactly.
Where he's just ultimate ultra instinct Shaggy kind of thing. That would be awesome. I would love to see that. It's so funny that like the pilot of or I should say the first episode of the show is really just a kiddied fried version of the movie. And I think they do such a good job with that. I think I would love to see Melvin in this game. That'd be awesome. Just to see him in some form. We're never going back though.
It's amazing to think that you can even actually attempt to kidify that movie, because there's a scene, it's got a lot of intense scenes in that movie, where they're running over people as a point system.
Right. Like, and they're just drinking while they're going.
Yeah, guy in a wheelchair, 20 points. Like, kid on the bike. That's 8 years old, 50 points.
I have no recollection of this. There's no way I saw that film. There's no way I saw that film.
It leaves a mark on your soul. So I don't think you would know if you've seen it.
It left a mark on a lot of people's souls. I mean, I feel like people, especially young independent filmmakers, all really were like inspired by that in some way. It's kind of crazy when you hear the people that come out of the woodwork to talk about that movie and you wouldn't expect it, like Peter Jackson's one of those I've heard, inspired by the Toxic Avenger. Pretty crazy. Like, I don't know. That's pretty wild.
If the Toxic Avenger were created today, it would be a very different IP.
I agree. I don't think that the cartoon would be the same either.
Just the word toxic has a whole new meaning.
Right. Yeah. SEO is not fun.
Yeah.
For that.
Not at all.
Didn't Peter Jackson do like 2 really schlocky horror films? Like, was it Bad Taste and Dead Alive? They were just really like over the top gross movies with like tons of gore and practical effects.
Probably.
So that kind of rings true, that he was inspired at some point by Troma.
And I could be wrong about that, but I thought I heard that somewhere. Sure. I was like, that's really interesting. It's real now.
It's canon.
So, canon. Yeah.
Let's put it in the show notes.
Let's just make some more things up. What else can we come up with?
Question mark?
Yeah, put that in the thumbnail. That'll be good. Peter Jackson's in our podcast. Great.
You know what? Listen, man, got to get those clicks.
I gotcha. Come up with the ideas.
Speaking of ideas, that booth was a hell of an idea.
You guys,
you were right there at the entrance.
On the show floor.
The barrels, man. I'm telling you,
barrels.
Rolling those barrels in here. I'm thinking like all these other people are probably thinking, what are they doing with those barrels? Like they weren't even wrapped with the logo or anything. It was just like we're just rolling green barrels in there, and they're probably like, what's going on at this booth? And they're carrying slime and everything. It was awesome because a lot of the barrels, most of them actually doubled as storage, so we were kind of able to hide slime and shirts and neat. extra computer parts and stuff in those barrels, and it was great. So
a bunch of cables, your lunch, just a bunch of shit. Like
right, yeah. Sometimes
which barrel is my burrito in?
Yeah, exactly. But we had this great like orange carpet too that helped everything kind of pop, and I just felt like the dream was out there for it to be something that looked really fun and nostalgic and cool. And I think it hit a lot of those check marks. At least for us, we were like, oh, this turned out really good. We were happy with this. So
you always had a massive line. You were right there at the entrance. It was
the thing.
Great. Yeah, it was such a cool experience.
And what sucks is I didn't have much time to walk around the rest of the convention. I usually always try to make an effort to go to like the artist alley and stuff and check out what they're doing down there. And I was just like, I got to go to this food court and I got to get some food and then see what's going on everywhere else. But I just was able to swing by and say hey to friends and at their own booths and see what's going on with them. But it looked like a great turnout. It was an awesome year of PAX.
Xander, if you need warm, enthusiastic bodies to be placeholders while you get a bite to eat, or take a piss.
Right. I'll just give you the shirt.
Or a hot deuce. We will gladly step in.
Whenever
we have done it before.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We had Toxie right there, so he was able to kind of hold down the fort while we were there.
Yeah, that was great,
having
the pictures.
Yeah.
Just such a good.
Did you guys get pictures with Toxie, or were you like,
of course.
Okay.
That's like the one thing about the press hour I appreciate is you can kind of like get all the little neat stuff done before the chaos that is the 4 days of PAX East. But yeah, it's like I love how the bigger gaming labels having since stepped away from PAX, it allows folks like you to have a much bigger presence on the show floor. Because I think in years past, like Screenwave and now Retroware, I never saw like never a big to do about your games. It was always like a nice intimate little setting. Here's our games, come play. It's great. But this was a production, and I feel it's kind of warranted given who we're dealing with.
Right. Again, you had to go all out. You had to go all out. You had to have the slime. You had to have the over the top t-shirts. And I was like, I don't know if orange is my color, but after this, I think we're gonna make it happen. You know, it was really awesome. And you know, because we were rushing to get the build, you know, on the floor and make sure that it was ready and playable, so people could, you know, we had to make it to where people could walk away and then someone else could jump in, or the game would restart if people left, and that never happened because everyone was so excited to play it. People were just playing it through all the way. But it was really everything came together. The stars aligned at the right time, and it worked out really awesome. I'm glad, and you guys came by too, and I talked to you guys already, so that was fun too.
Yeah,
we're kind of doing a little part 2 here.
I think you were like the first.
You were the first interview.
Yeah, you were the first stop.
Oh, was it real? Well, we were right there off the escalators, so that's probably how that happened.
So, you know, I mean, we had appointments, but that press hour is like where we get free play. Excuse me, I got it.
All good.
Got a frog in my throat. That was like a free play for us. So I was like, all right, well, let's split up. And he went right to you, and I went to go do some other stuff. System Shock, I believe, was the game I played first. Yeah, and then we stuck around. We got some slime, took some pictures, had a little chat. It was a great time.
Yeah, well, that was my first time ever doing press for anything either. So I was like, kind of like, oh man, I'm not ready for this. So I better get ready. Luckily, I'd been working on the game for a long time, so I could talk about it. You know?
The hard-hitting journalists of Duel Screens.
Well, you guys were chill, and so was everyone else, you know. So.
Let's get into that and like more about your career, because is this like your first major, like, I mean, art director is a huge role for a game. Is this like what have you worked on prior to this? Or is this like your big splash, like in a game?
Yeah, this is my first time as art director. I've been doing, I think leading up to that, I'd done concept art for, you know, stuff that we're doing in Iron Meat. I kind of always done like little things here and there. Where I could get my hands on doing something art-wise for any of our games, because I've always kind of been in the art side, on the game side of our company. So anywhere I could get my hands on it, whether it's editing a trailer for one of our games, I probably edited maybe the Eagle Island trailer that you guys saw, or the Iron Meat one, or whatever. And so that was kind of where I was, you know, slowly moving my way to doing more art-focused stuff. And I think that I've really found that I really enjoy it a lot. I never thought I'd be in video games, but this has kind of really been the best of both worlds. You get to work with really awesome people making art, and then the art comes to life in a way. You get to play your art, which is really cool, and I never really saw it that way. And then you have a unique opportunity like this, where the story, there's a story to it. There's like a narrative, and there's characters talking, and then you have to kind of get the writer in the room, and especially when you're doing a license. I mean, it was a dream first project for me to jump into this with. It wasn't like I was coming up with anything on my own completely. There were so many people that were going to look for a certain type of experience out of a game like this. And so you really you're spending your time like sitting and just trying to like soak up all of the experiences you want people to have with something like this, which is that couch co-op, that fun beat 'em up, crunchy soundtrack, just going at it with you boys. So that's kind of where I kind of came into it. But mostly art stuff at Screenwave and Retroware has been where I've been. I've designed shirts. I could go on forever about it, guys. I'm telling you. So,
did you design the booth?
I did not design the booth. So that is our very talented UK comic book artist Steve Gregson, and he designed the Toxie on this too. Awesome. So he's doing all the motion comic cutscenes, and so. He's been doing a really good job. All the standees you saw, the big posters and everything, he knocked those out. I mean, very quick. Super talented guy. So.
Yeah, it's dope. All right,
I need that fucking shirt.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, soon you come and get it. You know, and PAX next year. You know,
a barrel? Can we get a barrel? I think we can get a barrel out of
it. Right. Oh, yeah. Well, you got a little clear barrel right there.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, it's funny. I did have a few people asking me if they could eat that. I'm like, guys, it says Toxic on it. Like, don't do that. It's not, we're gonna get in trouble. We're never gonna come back to PAX. It's gonna be a problem. Your parents are gonna be mad.
This is why warning labels exist.
Yeah, right.
For me to ignore, yes.
Because people like Andy. Talk a little bit about the actual gameplay of the Toxic Crusaders. So, it's a beat 'em up. And I'm not saying this to be reductive. It's pretty standard fare, but it's exactly what you expect and want out of a beat 'em up. Tell our listeners and viewers a little bit about the gameplay and what they can expect.
Yeah, so we started and we had a very experienced consultant come in and help us. And yes, that's crazy. In this industry, we have consultants that just play a lot of video games and beat 'em ups to be exact. So
how do we get that job, Andy?
Yeah, right. And he came in and really drilled into our heads the essentials that you need to have to make it that good feeling beat 'em up combat. Streets of Rage 2 was one we pointed to a lot because that's like always been the standard, right? Is the Streets of Rage 2, and then we have like the Simpsons arcade kind of feel. We want to have that like kind of you're running and you're running through the city and you're kind of having fun and you've got your core characters that you can keep coming back to play as, and each of them have their own moods. I haven't played a lot of the Simpsons arcade, but that's one we constantly come back to art wise. Anyway, I'm always looking at the art of these games.
The Simpsons arcade utilizes very large sprite work. So and it's like it just assaults your eyes with just the pixels and the beautiful colors, and I think that's one of the things that really sticks out about Toxic Crusaders as well. Like there are some beat 'em ups where the characters are pretty small and the world is and the playing field is a little bit big, but once you get those larger than life characters and you really make those oversized sprites, one of the other games that it reminds me of sprite wise is the old Wrestle, what were they called? Wrestle Challenge? I forget what they were called, but it was the big sprite wrestling games. I'm sure, Andy, you've played them. I'm sure that's probably the only wrestling game you've ever played. But the old WWF ones.
I've played a few in my life.
But the thing that's awesome about them is that really you could get really detailed sprite work when everything's really big like that. That was the advantage of going to the arcade, right? That was the thing that your home console couldn't emulate. Like when you played TMNT 2 on NES, the sprites were smaller, everything was kind of shrunk down, to stop it from, blowing up the NES. And I think that really does wonders for the genre to have that kind of detail, especially with, such colorful characters.
Yeah, you say colorful characters, like, likenesses is a huge thing. On the art front, I'm like, I don't want this to look like a bunch of pixels, and all the artists are so good at bringing those likenesses out. Early getting Toxie right was the first one we started with. Obviously, start with Toxie, and then you're like, this guy's already got kind of a deformed face. That's kind of the point. But like, it can't look too deformed. You have to be able to recognize what he looks like because he does have an iconic looking face, and so we spent a lot of time on that. But you're right, like the high fidelity of the artwork at that size really makes a difference, especially when you're working with characters that you recognize or you want to get to know better. Because if the smaller you get, the less detail you have.
Right.
So then you're messing with scale, and like you have big characters like Toxie, but then you'll have smaller characters like Yvonne, and you have to figure out, you have to compromise. Okay, how are we going to make her face look smaller than Toxie's? But it's just you get into this crazy pixel counting mindset where you have to figure out, how do I represent this in the best way possible? So
I just love how
yes,
go ahead. No, you go.
Okay, I was going to move on from art. I was going to tell you more about the game. So if you have something to say about the art, I'd love to hear it.
I was going to talk about the gameplay, so you can talk about that.
Okay. So that is the art side of things, right? Sorry, I'm the art guy. I'm going to talk about art the whole time. But no, the gameplay is really, really fun. They have like these we have the special moves, and we're still, playing with everybody at PAX really showed us like, oh, this is already fun. How can we take these parts that people are really enjoying and then double down on them? So now we have these color. You're going to see gameplay. I don't know when this is coming out, but you'll probably see gameplay pretty soon coming up of we have like colored impacts. So like each character has their own color associated. So when you're fighting with them, you can see like, Major Disaster's got the red attack. So whenever you see him fighting, you got red, and Toxie's green, obviously, and Ozone's like got this blue look to it. And so when you're catching characters and you're throwing characters around, It's a lot of fun to see all the different impacts and explosions and stuff. It's pretty fun. So one thing that we threw in the build right before PAX were these toxic barrels. You know, we had to kind of like, you could see like the booth and go, oh, there's a barrel right there. No, I'm just kidding. But you could throw them, and when you threw them on the ground, they would spill and have like this green slime everywhere. And we're gonna make it to where that will charge your rad meter if you're standing in that. So there's little things like that weren't in that build that when you play it again will maybe feel even better than it did before, which is good. So we're still tweaking things and making sure as we go along that it feels like you said, you know, something you would expect from a beat 'em up, but then there's like, I'm gonna go back to play this game because it has this mechanic in it that I can't really get anywhere else. So that's the goal for our team anyway.
Go ahead, Andy.
See, I was breaking those toxic barrels. Like, it's green, it's bright, it's like radiating on the ground, but it's not doing anything. Why is this here?
Right. A stroke of genius.
But I did want to say, yes, I really love how this game feels like it was just torn out of the 1990s through and through. Because I can play a more modern beat 'em up that has like, you hit pause. Here's like 1,000. Here's like a gigantic move list, which I don't have the patience for to learn, to master, to even read about.
I'm kind of the same way. And
this just feels like, again, it has that Simpsons vibe. Okay, you jump and you punch and you can dash and do a combo, special move, and that's all there is to it. And it's just the most insane fun with, again, your closest friends on a Friday night, beers, pizzas, and I just love what it's trying to do. It's coming through in such a great way.
We just added this combo counter too, so that's an essential part that wasn't in the PAX build, you know, and so that feels already really awesome. You're like, oh, I'm going to see how high I can get this number, you know, before I move to the next screen. Or we're still fidgeting how long it should take for that to to kind of like reconfigure or whatever. But little things like that are like, oh, this is a great quality of life change we're making. That's going to make that experience so much more fun. Yeah.
And if you keep messing around with things like the barrels and the interactable objects on the screen, that will allow for more environmental fun too. Like, because you can just punch and kick and throw, you know, for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. But if you can bounce it off a wall, hit a table, and then the chairs go flying and hit another couple of, like, you just have a lot of options with the more you get to play with the environment too. So the barrels is a great addition. I look forward to that. I also see Toxie, our viewers are watching the trailer as we're talking, and your Steam page is basically playing on a loop at some point, so they could see you picking up a cactus, a car, slamming dudes' faces with a freaking pickup truck. Right. So if you keep adding stuff like that, and it's just going to add way more layers to the whole combat situation.
Right, we're constantly looking for these like context objects, you know, like you're in the restaurant, like what should you be able to throw in the restaurant? Is it going to be, you know, a box of tortilla chips or something? That's where we're at. I don't know if many people, one thing I didn't see at PAX, and I wasn't standing by the booth a lot, but I didn't know if people recognize all the references that were in the first level, especially with like, you know, like Leroy, Frank, and Rico in the kitchen area, or like in the restaurant area of that first level there. That is very, very, very close to home homage to the first movie, and I feel like we definitely wanted that first level to feel like a return to a place you haven't been in a while. So that
scene is brutal. Also in that movie, holy hell! Yeah. Like, I was avoiding milkshakes for a long time after watching that scene.
Right, and you see the fryer in the background of our game. You're like, oh, I know what happens with that. And oh man!
But then you have like, there's the Technodrome Eye just hanging out in the background, and to me, I was like, okay, fine. Yeah, I understand the Toxie stuff, but how does this end up in Tromaville?
There's a couple other references in there too, if you're looking for them. So
send me the build. I'll find them all.
Okay, good. Yeah, there's just a couple, but it's pretty fun. And then the Pluto build, because, you know, we realized we had done the concept art for Pluto, and he was already going to be in the game. But then the community kind of rallied and kind of went back to make this unreleased toy of Pluto. and then Paluto was re-released, and we were like, oh no, we have to like, because Paluto was in the NES game and was in the Game Boy game. We're like, okay, that's what we're gonna go for, right? That's what we're gonna shoot for. But then they have the toy, and it's got this teeth, and it's got all these other elements to it, like things popping out of him, and like these like bones and like crazy things coming out of his action figure. And I'm like, okay, we got to pivot to that. That's another thing we're focusing on with the art is like, the toys, because it was animation, really had kind of this like dialed back design philosophy, because you have to animate all that stuff, right?
Right.
But we were able to salvage a lot of the toy designs and kind of put them into the show where we can, like Bonehead's bike and everything like that. We were like, let's get all of the people had this stuff as a toy, guys. We have to like make sure that they know they're playing with that thing. Like, they're not going to recognize it if it looks just like the show. So anyway, that was pretty fun to do.
Multiple skins for each character.
That would be so fun.
That's the DLC pack just writes itself. Guys,
Right.
I like dropped some Jello nearby, some of the slime because I've been like thumbing it the whole show.
It's cleanup time.
And some just snapped off, and I'm like, is that Jello or slime? And should I eat it?
No,
it's like right there.
Don't do it.
No.
I
won't
chance.
look.
The answer is
like,
no.
I still want to eat it though.
Please don't.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
It's my Gross Hero origin story. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, right.
That is not an origin. That is
Or
that is an end story. That is a conclusion.
This is giving you like on my obituary what you should write for me.
Yes.
Become the Jello Avenger.
Ooh, DLC character, the Jello Avenger.
The Jello Avenger. He only eats fallen Jello, and he defends it anyway.
He just stands behind Toxie and just licks the floor. Because everywhere he goes, he's.
Have you guys watched the show recently enough to talk about it for a minute?
So I wanted to ask you before I like go and like torrent the fuck out of it. Does it exist somewhere legally that I can watch?
Legally, yes,
Right.
It's on Screenbox right now. So
What
go
is
watch
that?
it.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I don't even know what
And
that is.
also, Uncle Lloydie would probably love if I mentioned Troma Now. So Troma Now, it's probably also available on as well.
Okay.
All right, Uncle Lloyd. I can't do you dirty. I'll get it proper.
Right.
Yeah. So
that's big for Andy. That's huge.
It's a big step.
I don't like paying for stuff,
We're proud.
guys. That's why I eat slime for dinner.
But like you said, I'm sure that he threw everything on YouTube. That's like their style.
Yeah.
They're like, just watch it however you can. I love that energy that they
I'm
have.
not sure if that's still a thing, because we're talking like 10 years ago, so that may have changed since then.
Right.
But you never know. It could be on the YouTube, but I will definitely look into the legal way of supporting.
Indeed.
Right. Check it out.
Troma.
Andy, do you have any final questions about the Vidya game before we get into?
But I have the perfect way to segue into rapid fire.
All right.
Because rarely do we have a chance when there's a guest on the show where there is a very interesting looking IMDb page.
Oh.
And our boy Xander here, I have a very specific question for you, Xander.
Oh no. Okay.
All right. I'm trying to guess which one it's gonna be.
Yeah, don't worry.
Oh, I think I know which one's gonna be.
Which character? Thinking back to your acting days.
Yeah, I'm thinking about
as a young
method.
As a young thespian.
Yeah.
Which was a more difficult character to get into? Was it Pepsi Man, or was it Shit's Kitchen Chef #2?
Man, I'm gonna let that sink in for a minute for everyone that doesn't understand the
Shit's
context.
Kitchen?
Shit's Kitchen Chef
#2.
Doesn't
that mean you're the sous chef?
Now, these are episodes of AVGN that Xander was on.
Okay.
There we go. All right, everyone, calm down. I wasn't.
All right.
How did you not die in that Pepsi Man suit is also what I want to ask you.
I did. I almost died in that Pepsi Man suit. But let me tell you what, that was like so fun filming that though, because we had Mike Butters, who was actually in the Pepsi Man video game, and he came and filmed that episode with us, and that was my first time, you know, doing anything with you know, James Roll for, you know, filming with that crew. And then I think they were like, hey, just, you know, you're going to be in office one day, swing by and throw this Pepsi Man suit on and help us shoot this. And so I was kind of like, all right, whatever, like I don't really, this isn't my thing, you know, whatever, but I'll do it. I've been on YouTube for a long time making kind of goofy skits with my friends, and so I feel at home dressing like an idiot in front of the camera, you know. Sure, it's awesome. Sure. So I did it, and it was a lot of fun to do. But man, I couldn't see a thing in the suit, guys. I couldn't see a thing. And they had the bright lights, and they're like, you know, turn to the nerd, and then you're gonna take this thing from him. I'm like, guys, you're asking a lot right now. I can't see anything, you know. He's like, you know, stand up and run over here, and then turn to him. I'm like, I can't see anything. There's no direction you can give me that's gonna help. So
you gotta be was a blast. Pulled with like fishing line. It's like come in this direction.
Right, they're like, we'll mute the audio, we'll just, you know, yell to you and you'll follow the sound, you know.
That's fine.
But then we did a bunch of recording on the green screen. I mean, and then I got to do like the whole like Terminator like thumbs up thing on the way down. So that was a
great episode. That was a really good episode. That actually got me back into AVGN. Like I stopped watching for a little while. I actually just forgot that it was a thing.
Yeah.
And about the time he made the movie, I think was when I like kind of checked out a little bit, but then I was like, wait, I remember Pepsi Man. Pepsi Man was a thing. That was definitely a thing. My dad worked for Pepsi.
That was the shit,
cool.
From like 2000 on. So
like it was the shit.
It was something, that's for sure.
They got to bring Pepsi Man back. I'm telling you, man. Like if they,
I think
my phone number, just call me Pepsi, right? We'll do it.
I think it's amazing how that could have been your legacy. You could have stopped.
It is. It's my only thing I have to my name except for this.
That just, you know, you could move on, retire, go to the beach. But here you are, just, you know what? Not satisfied. And you're making great games.
Gotta keep going, right? Enjoy. And then the Shit's Kitchen thing, you know, in the context of the episode, right? So I think they were reviewing Jurassic Park Trespassers. Have you seen the bit that I'm in? And
I've seen the context? Pepsi Man one, but like the Shit's Kitchen, I was like, what is that?
What episode
it's
was
like
that from?
I think it's Trespassers.
It was Jurassic Park.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes, Jurassic Park Trespasser. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm in the shot with my coworker, and we were both graphic designers at Screenwave at the time, and they were like, "Come on, just come down here and film this. We need two faces that no one's gonna recognize to be in this part." And it's a cutaway bit where, you know, he's doing a Gordon Ramsay you know, Hell's Kitchen bit, and he's like yelling at us, and we're like mixing peanut butter and chocolate syrup together, and like he's like mix it faster, like we're making shit for like whatever. I couldn't believe it, but I'm like, this is my proudest moment. Mom, watch me do this. It'll be awesome.
Oh, it's so great.
But James kept laughing. It was hilarious. He like I think he felt bad, like yelling at us to make more shit faster. It was great.
Wonderful. Well, it's now time to officially get into the rapid fire.
Yes, that was pleasant.
Like, let's pivot from that one really quick.
Gird your loins.
I enjoyed that thoroughly.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Trip down memory lane.
Aside from green, if you had the power of Toxie, what color would your deformity be?
Purple.
Mm-hmm.
It's a royal color.
Just a big old.
I also just really like it.
Purple, goopy.
Yeah,
thing. I like it.
Yeah, I like purple. It's a good looking color. It also reads as kind of like radioactive, toxic. You know, you could do that thing as well.
Sure.
I think that would be my thing. I think I'd like to also have one extra eyeball than Toxie, because I think I could up them in
Blinky.
in the pool.
Totally.
Yeah. Except mine wouldn't go down; it would go up. You know, it would be good.
You'd be like Bizarro Toxie.
Yeah. Keep an eye out for that one, kids. That might be coming out.
That might be a thing.
Ixot.
To build on that, so you're purple with your third eye. What is your superhero or villain origin story? What freak accident caused you to be this way?
Okay, so like, let's see here. I could have been just an innocent graphic designer working at a company, and I fall into a vat of Pepsi, and I turn into the world's famous Pepsi Man, and I end up in an AVGN episode. somehow. That's just part of the
origin
story.
Yeah,
we're gonna tag Pepsi in this post, by the way.
I don't know.
Just be like, sorry guys, this is part of your legacy now.
Totally not sponsored.
We're now sponsored by Pepsi.
You could sponsor us, Pepsi.
I'm promise. Stepping in Jello.
Do it.
Go on.
Ew. Gross. Let's stick with the whole superpower thing, because we do ask a very popular question around here.
We do.
Would you rather have the power of flight or invisibility?
Okay, this is a classic. I like this kind of question. It begs a lot of your psyche to figure out what kind of life and what kind of person you are. I think flight, because I think I would like to just do that and then be like I'm the only one that can do that. If I was invisible, I think that I don't know. What do people say when they say this, when they give you this answer?
What happens is people are afraid to look like perverts if they say invisibility, which that's what I would go for.
You go for invisibility.
Says nothing about my personality whatsoever.
Right. You're like, disclaimer, this is how it can look.
Steven.
I'm still choosing it.
for me, it's as simple as it. If you could fly, it takes away one of the things that could kill you. So invisibility doesn't do that. Invisibility, you could still fall off a building. You could still get hit by a train or a car, or whatever.
Am I almost falling off a building if I'm
just saying, if you are
buildings are invisible.
I'm just saying, if you are by yourself, you're not invisible. You're just you, and you trip and fall, and you go over a parapet while you're looking at the skyline of New York City at the Empire State Building, and you go falling. Turning invisible is not going to help you. It's just going to make your splatter invisible.
Listen, if I worked in high-rise construction, maybe I would prefer that as a power.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like, okay, or what if you're like, all right, let's go bungee jumping, and you go bungee jumping, and the thing snaps. You could be like, fly, done.
You can be like, I'm not gonna go bungee jumping, I guess.
Parachute.
So your jump, and then you're okay. This is interesting. So you guys kind of have this set up like someone be the tiebreaker here, you know?
Well, I mean, flight to me is just infinitely more useful in in less nefarious ways.
Right. You're like, I'm trying to jump off a building and live, and that's how I want to do it. And then meanwhile, you're with the invisibility being like, I'm just not going to jump off a building. I'll just be invisible.
I'm just going to see who's talking shit about me all day.
I just love how there's the assumption of I'm going to steal and watch people fucking because I'm invisible all day long. That's what I do. That's what he thinks I do. And he's only half right.
This is the Troma podcast. We're on.
There it is. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, I do want to kind of build on this. So you have superpowers, but do you think you'd be an actual superhero? Like you'd brand yourself and devote your life to fighting crime, or just you live your life, and if something happens, maybe you'll swoop in and
easily. I think that I would definitely be a superhero. I think this is something that I probably planned on doing. You know, as a kid, I was definitely like, I'll just work whatever job I get out of college, and I'll just be a superhero afterwards. After 5 o'clock, you know, the mask goes on. We're saving lives. That's kind of what we're doing here now. So that I think I'd definitely be a superhero. Maybe making comics after work is how that's manifested. And I think that I've been waiting for this question my whole life. We'll see.
You know what, Xander? You're making a great game. You're a hero to me.
I'm a superhero right now. Yes.
Definitely.
Yes, I did it.
Totally.
You guys are like, wow, he was way too ready for that. That was
Mom, guess what?
Yeah, I'm a superhero now.
I'm a hero.
Yeah.
Fucking Jello. Go ahead, Steve.
But what about you guys? I mean, not to bring you guys into every question.
Oh, sure.
No, that's fine. It's a conversation. I would not be fighting crime, but I would be a hero, a superhero. Like I would use my ability to rescue people who need rescuing, or like prevent stuff from happening, or like, you know, I don't know if I would be one to like, because your fighting skills are still your fighting skills, right? Like you know, if a bad guy's got a gun, bad guy's gonna win. You know,
doesn't matter what your brand is, I guess. Yeah,
right. But like, if a bad guy shoots somebody, and I could fly, maybe I could get that person to a hospital a lot quicker than an EMT. You know, so I think like that, especially in our city where, you know, literally a fire engine with its all the whole woo, all that shit, nobody moves in the city. It's just, you're dead. Whatever building is on fire is going to remain on fire until it smolders, because our drivers here suck.
People, whatever's on fire, just walk on.
Yeah, they might as well slingshot you and you get there faster.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I hear you.
Yeah,
that's rough.
Now,
so
if
no vigilante exactly, but
no. But if I had super strength and flight, like, yeah, I'd be like lifting cars and shit. I'd be having fun with that.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. What about you?
Sounds
Andy?
awesome.
You're a villain. You're definitely a super villain.
Well, no, here's the thing. So we're saying as a hero.
Okay.
We're saying as a hero.
Okay.
I would need to have like a guaranteed source of income from the superheroing, because the motivation to get out of bed and it's my day off is just, it doesn't exist.
You just drop your Cash App wherever you say day.
I would just have like the Venmo QR code on my cape.
Yeah.
So if there was a little bit of give and take, if you could pay me for saving the lives, I think I would use my powers for good. If I was not guaranteed pay, I'd do my day-to-day job, and then maybe if I cared enough, I will help you.
So if I fall into a vat of Pepsi and there's no one to save me and I don't hand you a 20, I'm turning
at
into
that point
Toxic.
I am creating my rival, which I think is a good segue to my next question. Wait a minute.
Hold on though. Hold on. If you're outright having, I feel like the city would have to pay you.
Like a taxable thing.
Like, I feel like you would be an employee of the city.
So you think I'd go to like the mayor and be like,
I think you would be under.
Listen,
he gives you a key.
Government
put me on the payroll, like a police officer.
I'll work every day between these hours, or in like extreme emergencies.
Yeah, that's tried to I think people have tried to do that in comics before, right? That's like the whole like
Heroes for Hire,
Civil War thing. Yeah, like the Iron Man and Captain America, like, kind of getting these guys under control. Let's
I mean, that's like you only do. I would be interested to see what that contract looks like. Let's just put it that way.
Be long,
because like you have to do your mission, but also are you obligated? Like, do you take a Hippocratic oath as a superhero, where if you're in a superhero situation, you have to superhero?
Right. I think I would also sort of border on like anti-hero, like a Venom or a Spawn kind of character. Like I would, if I had the strength and the ability, I don't think I would care about decimating people who did bad things in my city, because I see it, like I see like 10 crimes walking to work through Times Square every morning.
Right.
So I know the element that exists out there, and like I don't know if I could just be like a Batman guy and just not murder people that were just legit evil. So it's
sure.
Is your power still invisibility? Because you can just walk by it and no one
will see me do it. Push them in talking traffic. That's also a possibility. Yeah.
Right.
Great. Yeah. Guilt be gone.
Right. Or they're like, who was that guy? They're like, I didn't see anything. You know what I mean? You get no credit for it, I guess.
Hit by a Pepsi truck.
I know what your name could be, Andy.
Go ahead. I can't wait.
Poltergay.
Oh man. I think I've seen that porno.
You just be invisible. People just get shit thrown at them. They'll think it's a poltergeist.
Yeah.
And you're gay. Yeah. So there you go.
There you go.
Poltergeist. I think it works.
We're just
who the hell's turn is it?
Xander $1 million ideas here.
That's it.
I mean, I'm writing this down.
You
see my pen
Xander,
going off?
we have a lot of game ideas, and we are flowing free flow, and beat 'em up is one of the genre we want to do. So
okay. All right. It sounds like it's got to be like a one-on-one fighting game, though. You know what I mean?
Just me versus Andy.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like it beat 'em up. It sounds like it beat each other up. You know what?
I got it.
Oh my god.
I think
on
it's
that. Yeah, I think it's.
Is it my turn? I don't know
anymore.
I heard something about a villain question coming up next.
Yes, Xander. Okay. What do you think who is your Joker? What does that look like to you?
So I guess my backstory is a little convoluted now. So
a little bit. Is he Coke?
But like I could pull on lore. Yeah, it could be Pepto. Pepto Bismol.
Is he like Coke Zero or some shit?
Yeah. Just right. Like the Mentos.
Zima.
Yeah. So I gotta have something that kind of neutralizes the Pepsi element, the carbonation, if you will.
Pepsi Blue.
Right.
Yeah.
Pepsi Peeps, because that was a thing that happened.
Okay. I mean, those sound like sidekicks to me. Like they could be like associated with my brand.
Right.
You know? But Coke would be an obvious, like, they're trying to come up and steal my thing, Right.
But, it'd be hilarious if Coke is not really your nemesis. It's just the one the media makes your nemesis, but you guys actually hang out and like.
Right. We milk it for profit.
You're just you're totally awesome. Like,
oh, go vote on my Twitter poll. It totally matters. You know what I mean?
You got the east side. I got the west side. Whatever. And...
I like. You guys are very business minded. You guys are like, I'm going to make a business out of it. I'm going to get paid by the government.
We can't turn this whole thing into any sort of profit.
Yeah. So we're going to turn
we're good for ideas. We need people to make ideas.
The jumbled mess in here into something.
If I can turn invisible and I can fly, I think we'd be in business. Like we got
hell yeah, we got all the bullet points. Is breakfast cereal a soup, Xander?
No, absolutely not.
Interesting.
Because soup, I think, is hot, and you don't eat cereal hot.
And
touche. What kind of cold soup are you eating? What? On what planet? On planet where people fly and they make money out of their flight.
If you look at like what is it? Cream of wheat. Isn't it called a cereal?
Oh, cream of like an oatmeal kind of thing.
Farina?
But they don't call it a soup though.
No, but they call it a cereal, and it's hot.
It's an oatmeal
cereal. I didn't come prepared for this. I don't know. I guess in my opinion, soup.
No, you said cereal's
cold.
You threw down.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm gonna lay down the law for myself.
It's very reductive, and it shows a lot about your character, Andy.
I'm gonna ask, I think, one of the questions I really enjoy asking folks in the indie dev sphere, and that is, we've been seeing a lot of indie devs getting a hold of some very iconic and beloved IPs. Dead Cells folks doing Castlevania, bunch of indie devs doing Silent Hill and the such. If Retroware were given the chance to work on an iconic, beloved, even forgotten franchise, and you made that decision, Xander, which would you pick?
So I know it wouldn't probably be pixel art, and this thing has had a game before. It was associated with the movie. I almost want to play 20 questions, but we're not here for that long. I would love to do a Batman Beyond game.
Holy
because
shit.
I love Batman Beyond. I would do it like I wouldn't make it like Arkham exactly. I think it would have a lot of gameplay styles mixed in. But there's so many cool gadgets you can play with that aren't in that series, and I've never been happy with how the Batman Beyond suit has been adapted to any other medium than animation. So I think that trying to go for that sweet in between of like Spider-Verse meets something that they're doing in the Spider-Man game would be really fun to do. That would be my personal vote. But everyone that knows me knows I would say that though. That's the whole thing.
Man, one of my biggest heartbreaks is that Rocksteady's next game wasn't a Batman Beyond game. It seems like it was right there for the taking. Such an amazing like rogues gallery that character had on the show, and it was right there. Return the Joker, one of the best films ever.
Yeah.
Fight me. That's
they have yet to even tackle it in live action. You know what I mean? They really need to do it, and I think they're probably scared because they're like, how does that suit look good in live action with the mouth showing through and everything? It's scary. So I get it, but. I don't know. I would love to see that, especially if they went for like a cell shaded look. There's so many shows.
Hell yeah!
If they were able to reboot Batman after Batman and Robin, and people were willing to forgive it, anything's possible. They could do anything. They could adapt anything. They could try anything. Honestly, Batman. What was it? Batman Begins was when? That was 2005, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. That was only 8 years after Batman and Robin. Like
that's a lot in the Hollywood years, I guess.
Yeah.
They reboot something every 5 minutes now, Yeah. They're like Yeah, I don't know. That's crazy.
All right, here's a question for you.
Oh, wait, I want to piggyback on that really quick, Steve.
This is also piggybacking, so maybe.
Okay, so you can piggyback off that piggyback.
So okay, go ahead.
Just real quick, have you guys thought about like moving away from to pixel art at some point, or is this you're just saying this because?
Hey, I think that would be. You know, we're really into retro experiences right now, giving people that like retro but new kind of feel, and so I can't say if we'd move away from that, but I think that we're always looking to push the next thing. You know, if it feels natural for the project, then maybe. You know, I can't say anything because I know like generally what's going on, but I can't say whether or not it would happen. But if the genre called for it, I don't see why we wouldn't try and figure that out. You know, it'd be cool.
So let's say Warner Brothers, whatever, Time Warner, whoever the hell they are now, they announce a Batman Beyond movie.
Yeah.
Real ass live action movie. Who do you want to be Terry?
You know, it's funny. I was on another podcast kind of recently talking about something else, and we had this conversation, and I couldn't figure out who it would be. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I don't know actors good enough. I don't know them enough to pinpoint one. Because Terry is is a really cool character. He's supposed to be super young, but he like looks old, and he's like super jacked in the cartoon. So I don't know who I'd have play him. You know, I always used to think it would be cool to see Michael Keaton play old Bruce Wayne.
Absolutely.
You know, continuing that continuity kind of facetiously, you know. I don't know. I don't know who I would pick exactly. There's like Timothée Chalamet, but everyone's, you know, he's like everything. So I don't know. Chris Pratt.
He would never do it though.
No, he wouldn't. I mean, no. I mean, yeah, I feel like I would personally want like a no name.
I think he's actually said he would never do a.
It would definitely have to be a no name, you know, or a relatively unknown.
Yeah, no name is reductive. I would rather have someone I don't recognize from a million other things.
And that's why a lot of the actors that get those roles are like, they're big in the London theater. Like they're you know, those kinds of actors that get pulled in, and you're like, oh yeah, you're a household name now.
Like, like I think that Ellie from The Last of Us was kind of like that, especially for this most recent Last of Us show.
Yeah.
I had never heard of them before.
I mean, Tom Holland, who knew the hell who Tom Holland was?
Right.
And he's Spider-Man. Like you know, you look at what was the other one? Even Hugh Jackman. Like I didn't know who the hell Hugh Jackman was before he was Wolverine. Like Wolverine was my introduction to Hugh Jackman.
I mean, I can't say that I feel differently. 100%. Do you guys know about this new Toxic Avenger movie that's coming out? This reboot that's happening?
No.
Is that with Peter Dinklage? Is that still a thing?
Yeah.
He's still cast as Toxie?
I don't know much about the movie. I just know it's coming out. Mum's the word. I mean, I don't know anything about what they're doing over there, but because that's kind of like these things are kind of happening at the same time ish, and we're like trying to figure out, okay, this brand's gonna be relevant again, but they've been making this movie for such a long time. I'm really curious to see how it turns out. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
Because it'll be like a reboot, you know.
All right. I hope it turns out good too.
Yeah. Speaking of rebooting,
that should be interesting.
It's time to reboot your consciousness and figure out where you stand on life's most difficult and pressing questions.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Oh man.
It is time for our final question of the show. It will in fact be the hardest question you'll ever have to answer in your life. When you leave this plane of existence and you reach the pearly gates, there is no question that God or St. Peter or whoever meets you at the gate can possibly ask you that will be more difficult than this question.
Okay.
However,
or Uncle Lloydie being there. Yeah.
However, the answer is simple. The question is, Andy or Steve?
I don't know. I feel like I don't want to make this too quick, but you know, I've been keeping time in mind, right? I think Andy is the one I met. He decided to come to our booth at PAX, spoke to me, kept the conversation going afterwards. It's why I'm here today.
I held the camera.
So you gave a really good introduction, but I've had a joy hanging out with both.
I held the camera and I put the microphone on you. So I think that's a little disrespectful.
You know what? That's so true.
But it's okay. No.
I hate your slime, Xander.
You can't take it back now, Xander.
I wouldn't. But
and you can't take back your guest hostness on this here Duel Screens podcast. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. If you want to follow us on social media, we're at Duel_Screens. I'm at Batchild27. Andy's at PantsGuy. And our Facebook group is facebook.com/group/DS podcast, which we never post there. But if you want to hang out with us, please go to our Patreon. That is patreon.com/
always mention it.
Duel Screens. Yes. Go in there. Join our Patreon. As little as $1. You get bonus episodes all the time. And the $1 gets you into our VIP Discord, where you hang out with us literally all day. We are talking there. When we're doing our 9 to 5s, we're in there constantly sharing news, what we're playing, tidbits. There are developers in there as well, so you could talk to developers about their games or about gaming in general. It's a really cool place to hang out. So again, that's patreon.com/Duel Screens. And if you go to duelscreens.com, Andy, we have awesome stuff going up on the website. We're doing really, really well on the website recently. So please go over there. And if you want to check out our store, just go to the store page on there and help keep this little engine that could keep going. Now that E3 is canceled, rest in peace E3, we're going to try and see if we could get over to PAX West. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for having me on here. It's been great hanging out with both of you guys. Thanks for all your awesome questions.
Thanks, I would. Why don't you tell everybody where they could follow you and where they could follow the Toxic Crusaders?
You can follow me at Xanderflix on Instagram and Xanver Arnot on Twitter. And you can follow us at Retroware on anything, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the whole thing. And you can check out more about Toxic Crusaders at playtoxiccrusaders.com.
Awesome. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Xander. And as always, please be excellent to each other.